I'm about to graduate film school, and this internship was not what I expected. It wasn't a set or a studio, even though I'm in one right now, but it might have been one of the best things that happened to me this year. Hi, I'm Daji. I'm a creative from Rio, live in New York City, and if you want to know more about my internship, stick to this video. This is BRIC, an Arts and Media Institute for the community of Brooklyn, and I worked here as a social media intern. So in this video, I'll be talking about the behind the scenes, how I found this job, how I got in, the things that went right, the things that went wrong, what I learned, and how it changed my creative path. So I am about to graduate. This was my last internship as a student. It's my third internship. Before that, I've interned for 2 different places. The first place was for like a documentary production, and the internship became a job. Not exactly the same thing I was doing, but it became my current part-time job. And the second internship was a shorter one in an audio production house. After these 2 experiences, I was still looking for more experiences because I know most professors in film, they say that it's really important for you to get experience on the job, and why not an internship while you're studying, because you know this looks really good for you and you do learn a lot, and people, they are a little more forgiving, or they have more patience with you because you are a student, so they know it's not like just an employee that has years of experience. So it's a great way to learn more. And I was really hungry for learning more and having more hands-on experience, because the other 2 internships I had, they were more of the behind the scenes of film. So the first one, I was an associate producer intern. That means that I was doing more like an office job for this documentary instead of being the creative side of it. Even though I had like great experiences, I learned a lot, and I feel like this was super important for me, I was still looking for more. Then I got the second internship thinking it would be more hands-on because it was a studio with booths and real, recordings for audiobooks, for voice acting. But it ended up that it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, even though I sat through the recordings and I learned by seeing people doing stuff. I wanted to be learning more of the technical stuff, or just actually, creating things, being in the creative team, even if it was a small role, just a supportive role. But in that case, it didn't really work. And then they wanted me to do different stuff, more into like social media, which is funny because now I'm a social media intern. But at the time, I just felt like it wasn't super aligned with what I wanted to do. It was a good connection, but it wasn't really flowing as well, the dates and everything. So I applied to this program through my college. I went to a CUNY college in New York, University of New York, that's the meaning. So it's a group of schools that used to be free in the past, and they're still super accessible. It's not exactly a community college. They have both universities and community colleges, but anyway, it's part of this group. Okay, so basically this program called CUNY Cultural Course would connect students to art institutes. So they would connect students with arts institutes. All the institutes are from New York City. They were trying to support the students and connect to the local community. So basically, who told me about that was a professor. I reached out. It was a great experience. This class was not a film class, but it was a geography of South America class. And I just really liked this professor. She was really nice. And I was a good student, and I feel like she noticed that I wasn't giving an F to her class, as a bunch of people were doing. And, one day just walking in the halls, we crossed paths and reconnected. And later, she invited me to do some things with her, and it didn't work out. So she said like, oh, since we couldn't do that project, I thought of you because I know the school is doing this program, and I think it could be something that you would be interested in. And it was perfect because the other two internships I had were not paid. And I was really interested in getting paid for an internship because, it wasn't like it was my first internship and I have bills to pay. So it was just perfect. I was like, okay, let's go. I want to know more about it. So I enrolled and I got selected. It had like a longer selection, some interviews and a bunch of things, and things were going pretty well. But then after New Year's, I don't know what happened. My email just wasn't receiving any of the things they were sending me. I don't know why this happened. And everything started going wrong. I missed due dates. I missed some of the meetings, the required meetings, and I was sure I wasn't doing this anymore. I was like, okay, they're just gonna unqualify me. Maybe I'll have to try finding an internship outside of school in, external websites or something. And I wasn't so excited for that because the school helps a lot, because they were literally guiding us. And they had like a partnership with these institutes. So the ones who were paying me were the CUNY cultural course, But it was really interesting. They had connections with MoMA, the Museum of the Moving Image, etc., including different institutes that I didn't know of, organizations. They also had connections with Rooftop Films, which has a film festival during the summer. So I was like, damn it, I missed everything. I don't know what's going on. I tried to reach out. It didn't work. I don't know why they didn't get my email, Basically, after all that, when I thought everything was lost, they called me one day and said that I could send them my resume and they would send my resume to the remaining institutes that would be hiring or willing to take one more person. And Brick found my resume through them and they reached out to me and they said that they were super interested, and I was just so happy that this happened. Brick and a different organization also reached out, but Brick was a lot more aligned with me because they basically offer classes to the local community, especially Brooklyn, but if you're from any part of New York City. So this is one of their studios. You can record. They have cameras. They have, chroma key, green screen, classes on softwares like Premiere Pro or any kind of post-production software or workflow. They have courses in lighting and just a bunch of things. And if you take these classes, you can get certificated as a community producer. That means you produce a film or a content or a TV program, whatever, documentary. And then through them, you can televise your media, your film. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. I didn't know this existed. I'm not from here, so I don't know if people know this. And I know in Brazil there's we call it TV aberta, which is like open TV, which is basically public access TV, which is what Brick is. So I was just super excited and I just said yes, let's go. And I thought it would be a great idea, a great way to connect with creatives from the area and even other people studying, trying to learn these skills. So here I am. Okay, so when I started working here, the first days I was just in a room, with the supervisor and the other intern. And they said that it was super flexible, tell them what I wanted to learn. Because the other guy, he wasn't involved in the same things I was. He was not a film student. So we wanted different things. And the first days, I think we just got to know the place, learned about the company. And yeah, it was pretty chill, I was just like, okay, what's gonna happen now? I wanted to get involved in some sort of, production or filming the films behind the scenes of some of the shows they have. And they also have podcasts. So I was like, okay, I really want to learn this. But it ended up that they moved me to the marketing department because this is a common thing that happens to film students. Many people see film students as good for marketing and social media. Usually when I tell people I am a film student, they say like, oh, okay, maybe you could do our social media, maybe you could take photos for us and do the websites. And that's not exactly what you learn in film school. Film school is a lot more focused on traditional film, so like cinema, like old Hollywood stuff. Of course, you also learn other things that is not old Hollywood stuff, but that's the foundation of most of what we learn. And it's about narrative, it's about characters, it's about camera angles, and all these things, which is still good, but it's used in a different way when you get into social media, because it's a different media, right? So basically, when I went to the marketing department in the beginning, I was a little skeptical, but I was also open to learning because I feel like marketing and social media is really important. Like this realm, marketing is, the department, and social media is under the marketing department, so it's one of the branches of the department. And I was working with a girl, super cool, and she is a social media person, and I was, supporting her with whatever she needed. And I just think film is really incredible. It's something really nice, but it's a very specific industry, which I'll get into later on. But basically, what I was doing when I started interning for them in the marketing department, I started doing a lot of research. I was doing research for artists that we're gonna host. Brick is multimedia company, let's say. So they do a lot of TV stuff. Like I said, they also have podcasts, but they also have photography classes. They have art residency. They have music events. So they have like a jazz festival during, fall and winter. And during the summer, they have a big event that is like a free outdoor concert. They invite a bunch of people. They also have benefit concerts that they invite more like famous artists, so people pay for the tickets and then they have these funds. So basically, the marketing department doesn't only deal with the film part, it deals with everything that goes into social media, promoting their work. And I was researching the artists that are coming for this concert. I was researching influencers that we could contact and invite to the concert, so we could promote the event and more people could come, which if you're watching this video, you should come. I'm not going to be an intern for them anymore, but I will be part of it. I'll participate because it's just such a fun, cool thing. Anyway, and also I was doing research for trends on social media, specifically TikTok. And that's something I learned that was really cool because I've done a lot of social media for myself. And I think among YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok is the one I've studied the least, even though I really like it nowadays, but I feel like it's the last one that was, became a big one, and I didn't get into it so fast. But it was really fun, and besides that, I was doing video production in a way, but for social media. I also wrote scripts for short form videos. They gave me a template. It wasn't completely, I didn't have complete creative control, but it was already a lot more creative. And that's when I started noticing, like, oh, this is actually interesting. I am having the power to give my, put my word in, is that how to say it? Just say what I think, like my perspective. So I did the research. I felt like I was involved and not just like in the back seat watching what was going on. I also captured footage of the classes they have because they also want to promote more of these classes. They are free or very low cost. So if you're in New York, that's also really interesting. If you want to learn any of these skills, you can get into the website. I'm doing free promo here because I'm an intern, why not? I also filmed some of the events. So they had the Be Free Awards, which was the awards of the media content they televised, and they selected a few of them. And then there was awards. They had a huge party. It was super fun. They were serving food. They had like a red carpet thing. And I just completely loved being part of this. I had to ask them to be in it because they didn't tell me, oh, you should come. It was on a Friday night, I think, or on a Saturday night. So I just asked them if I could be part of it, because if I'm doing social media, I want to do it. I want to learn it, and I really love creating content, so I just wanted to be in action. And I feel like this gave me a lot of credit, and they invited me to do more of this stuff. Not only filming classes while I was here, because I had some days that I should be in office because it was a hybrid job. Many of the things I was doing were not necessarily something I had to be in office to do. Basically, most of the things actually, I could do from home. But they said that it was good for me to come, half of the time, so we keep productive levels high, if that's how you say it. So I also did an interview with DJ and music producer, Michael Braun, and a console member during the same event. And last but not least, I did some video editing. That's also something I had to ask for, because I feel like they didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. They were kind of testing the grounds and seeing what I would be more excited about. And I just said like, hey, I really like video editing, and if you have anything, send it to me. And then that's how we did it. I didn't do the full thing. I did the first cut, and then the girl that works above me, she completed, let's say, the video with B-roll and images and things like that. The captions, they use a specific font, so she dealt with that. And yeah, these are the things I learned in this social media internship. I would say I learned a lot. It was the first time that I was creating for a company. Like I said, the other internships that I had didn't allow me to give creative input in a way. Not because they were mean, but just because it wasn't, the case. And I've done a lot of social media for myself, and I've done some artistic work for family members, even if it was like a job, but it was for family members. It's, always a little easier, or maybe more complicated, but it's not as professional. It's not the same. You don't do it in the same steps. It's not the same exact thing. Okay, sorry. But it's not the same exact thing. So it was really interesting to work in an environment that I had a supervisor, and this supervisor had another supervisor who was the boss of the marketing team. And I was also part of some of their meetings, even though I didn't say much because they didn't want to, I was just there to do, you know how internships are. You just do things here and there. Usually you do a lot of busy work. They really wanted me to be in there and see how things were working, which I highly appreciated. And this made me gain a lot of confidence, because now I feel like this internship is the internship that I can say I have experience. Not that the others didn't have experience, but I felt like I was being guided a lot more. And like I said, this one, I was making decisions. I was the one in charge of some of the tasks. More complex, more complex tasks, in the way that I had a responsibility and I had a way to do things, and because I was asking for more, I think this helped me a lot. And now I have a portfolio. Of course, the internship was 2 months long, but it was enough time for me to have some material. And now that I'm getting out of college, I will have things to show, because in the film or media industry or any kind of arts, you have to show your work. It's not only about having a resume. You have to have the portfolio and say like, hey, this is what I know and this is what I did. Because you can have only a resume if you're doing something like an office job for an arts institute. That's totally fine. But if you want to be the one creating, you have to show how you create. And that's essential. So one of the most interesting things about this experience was that I learned what community media is. I learned that community media and this whole institute is basically funded by the government, and it's a right you have. I'm not 100% sure if it's across the entire country, but I know in New York, all boroughs have something like this, like a place that you can go learn and have access to the studio and material and equipment and everything, and you can televise, you can put your media, your products, your production out there, which is super crazy for me. And also, they have donors. Some of them don't want to disclose who they are, so they are incognito. How do you say that? It's not incognito. Anyway. And some of them are public. You can just look it up and see, like, oh my god, this person is donating money for the people to speak up and just, share their thoughts with the world, which is amazing. I also realized that maybe what I was craving and maybe what you should look for in an internship is not only the role you want to be in the future. So for me, it was film. I was looking for something in film production. I was trying to be creative in the traditional film world and more in the production, like the filming parts or maybe like on a set. But I learned that was not necessarily what I needed. Maybe I can still do that, of course. I'm not limiting myself to one or the other. But before, I was limiting myself only to film, traditional film production, coming to a more traditional path. And now I'm just super open to doing different things. I feel like if you want to be creative, you should try different things. I'm not saying that that's for everyone, but I would say most creatives have the creative energy and they just have to express themselves somehow. And learning different kinds of media is important because you become a versatile person. And this might be more valuable in the long run, especially because I feel like people like to work with others who know how to adapt. And this showed me that I can adapt my knowledge from film to social media, even though it is different. It's not the same thing. Don't say that to someone that studied film, Jesus Christ. So yeah, and that being said, different platforms, different formats, I just see now that social media, it's completely and even more a real media. A lot of people still think social media is just playing around, it's low quality, it's not that well thought. You just place your phone there and everything's kind of clunky, which is sometimes true, but not all the time. There's a lot of high value production out there online. And I had to learn, I think one of the most challenging things for me was crafting the script, because the script has to have a structure. It's not only freely writing whatever you want. That's the same for film. There is a structure. There is a step-by-step. Of course, you can break that. You don't have to follow exactly that. But basically, you have something that works. It has a psychology of like, this goes first, then that, and then you have to explain this. You have to grab the person's attention. You have to give, the payoff has to be good enough if you have all the setup before. So it's the same for social media, and I think it's a lot of fun because you have to have the marketing in mind, even though film nowadays is very corporate many times, especially like Hollywood films. They take into consideration a lot of political stances. And I'm not saying the film shouldn't be politic. Actually, arts are usually very political, but you shouldn't restrain yourself because of that. And that's the thing for social media as well, and arts and photography and drawings. You have to know how to conquistar. How do they say that? I forgot. That's the word in English. But basically, you have to do that to conquer. That's not the word, but it's the literal translation. But you have to conquer people's attention and people's feelings and emotions. And it's a whole art by itself. So yeah, if you're looking for an internship and you're not finding exactly what you're looking for, embrace it. I would say try different things, make an effort, be there, be present, ask for more, because you're gonna learn. What I did is not TV, but it is creative, collaborative, and real. If you enjoy learning about media, arts, creativity in New York City, please give me a thumbs up so I am aware of that and I can create more videos like this one. Okay, and now that I'm basically done, what's gonna happen? So what changed? How am I feeling? What is the next step? So first of all, I want to announce I didn't get a job offer. Boo! But I was already expecting that. in the very beginning of my internship, I think the second day, I overheard a conversation. I think it was the other intern with someone else, and they were actually discussing a possibility of working here. But the answer of this person, the employee, was that there was a huge budget cut now, and a lot of people were laid off. So when I heard that, I was already like, okay, this is not gonna go anywhere, unfortunately. But I was wrong. It's not that it didn't go anywhere. I asked them maybe a week or two ago about a possibility of working with them. And basically, they said that right now they're not hiring, the teams are small, but that something could open up in October, and they really had a good time working with me. So maybe I get at least a recommendation and I have good contacts, and maybe, who knows. In October, it's not gonna work for me because I'm planning that trip to Brazil, but you never know what's gonna happen. So it's just good. And just from knowing that this place exists and I have all the resources to create a film, like, that's basically all I need. So I will be coming back here, and I know people here, so this is amazing. So now that we know that I'm not gonna be hired here, I just wanted to say that being hired for a creative role, it's so much harder than it seems. And I would say usually entry-level jobs are a lot more administrative, which is, it can be a good way to start, especially if you want to follow a more traditional path and climb the corporate ladder. But I don't think that's my style. I do want to work with companies. I do want to work with big institutes, etc. But I am someone who's trying to, get used to getting my money, bread. I don't know. I am someone who's trying to make an income from creative projects. So this is something that you usually have to go through a different route, freelance route maybe, or I don't know, you just have to be out there and ask a lot of people, because knowing people is what you need. Knowing people, networking. I've gotten so many things because I've known people. My first internship was through a professor. My second internship was through my first internship. And this third internship was, through the school, but it was because of the other professor. So basically, and even gigs. I have a current gig right now that I just straight up asked a friend, and it went really well, So you just have to be out there, ask. You always have to ask. No one's gonna remember you if you don't ask. And my mom told me that, and I really learned that. You have to be cara de pau in Portuguese, which means you should have no shame. It could be bad in Portuguese, but you can be also like, when you just, just be out there, say whatever you want, ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. You already have the no, so that's all. And I'm very proud I didn't give up on the internship. I didn't give up when things were going wrong, even though I almost did, but I didn't. And I also didn't give up when they said social media. Maybe I could be like, oh no, I don't want to do that, but I was like, sure, let's go. Let's just try. I'll take it. Here I am, super happy. And I think one lesson learned is that I want to be working in media that is meaningful to me. It doesn't matter the kind of media, honestly. For some people, maybe it does. But for me, I think the most important thing is to be creative, feed my creativity and my mental energy, which is super fast and like chaotic and blah, extrovert. Even though I'm an introvert as well. I don't know, I'm an introvert, whatever that is. If that even exists, whatever. But I just want to feed that. So it doesn't matter if I'm creating a collage, if I'm painting, I just have to express myself. And having a job, not only just because of creativity, having a job that is aligned with you is more important than having an amazing job. Honestly, having good co-workers and a good environment is more important sometimes than just having a title. At least for me. Some might disagree, but I do agree, because I feel like when this happens, you're happier, and when you're happier, you do a better job, and you do what you want to do it. You want to succeed. You want to create more, and right? Why not? So I'll definitely stay connected with Brick, and now I am graduating. I am creating my own stuff. This is already one of the things, but I definitely need to create more. And I would recommend this to anyone who's starting their career in the creative industry, any kind of creative industry. Do it yourself. You might not get a creative role in the beginning, but if you do it yourself, you're gonna improve. And you can always show, you never know who you're gonna meet and who's gonna ask to see your stuff. Keep that in mind. And I want to build my brand. I want to build my own company, which is already on the planning for a while, but now I'll have more time and I want to land the gigs. Maybe I'll have to have another job to, have the steady income to support myself in this crazy city. Maybe, who knows? But my main goal is to be, seeking this clients and things like that. And also, just sell your skills. You can get freelancing gigs. You can ask people. You don't have to wait. Just say like, hey, I know you have a brand. Do you need someone editing your photos? Do you want to do that? Or even if you're not paid in the beginning, just do it. Collaborate with friends. Invite people that are not artistic. But just say like, please, can you do that for me? Like, can we do that? I'll pay you lunch. That's it. Boom. And that's it. Just apply what you learned, and you're gonna learn, on the way, basically. Okay. So comment down here what you think about this experience and if you understood what a community media is. If you want to know more about that, also please write down here. I want to know what to bring to you. As a creative in New York, I have a lot to say. My husband is also a creative. He's a painter. We have a cat, which is a crazy cat. So we have a crazy family. We love eating. We love going out and seeing the world. So if any of this interests you, comment here or subscribe to see the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.